Good morning. How's everybody doing in Courageous Conversations, and welcome. I'm going to wait till a few more people come on, but I just want to do some sharing. And I think this is going to be an interesting one because it's all about your value system and your actions. Are they aligned? Are they sort of mirroring each other in a good way? So let's just talk about something that I've seen create a lot. Hi, Tamara. How are you? A lot of strife in people. Let me just do a little bit of sharing here because I think that it would be a really cool thing for people to have access to this information and, share it as well because it is an area that will be of interest to many, many people, I think, in terms of what's happening with Heimwen, nice to see you, in terms of how they conduct their life. I noticed that there is a tremendous dissonance between what people think they value and what actually goes on in their life. And to me, the exercise of sitting down and writing in your journal what's of value to you, what's important to you, I feel is extraordinarily important. Hi, everyone that's watching. Let me know you're here and share this because I think this is going to be valuable information for everyone. What's a value system? This is, people go, what? Hi, Leanne. Nice to see everybody. I'm so pleased everyone's joining. It's always very gratifying. And let me just go toward sharing in a group. My group, Courageous Conversations, which is a place of safety if you're making courageous choices. It's a support place. Please join. I think that would be of interest to a lot of people. And also my page, Courageous Conversations. And I'm going to share it in a couple of different other places. And then we're going to get right to it and talk about values, value system. What are your values? What's important to you? Do you know what's important to you? Or are you just going with the flow? That's another one that's important. When I sit down with a client who's experiencing strife in life, an example would be, I want to give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about, where the dissonance happens, which is, on the one hand, a person says, for example, case study, separation, and there's a sort of divorce that's imminent, but the couple is trying to separate. And imagine that they are just not aligned. One person really wants to be back in the relationship, the other person does not. They are like no, and refusing to do any kind of therapy as well. And then what occurs is they keep meeting up for sex, and they keep meeting up for sex periodically. And the person who still wants to be in the relationship is like doing some work on themselves, and they're getting hurt every time. They start to feel like, okay, this must mean that we're getting back together, And the person who doesn't want to be in the relationship is like, no, I just want to have sex. That's all. And so my question to the person who's suffering, who's like, I really want to be back in this relationship. I really want to get back together with my partner. And I think the giving of myself sexually will bring that person back in. But really, when we really check this out, what we see is that the person who does not want to come back into the relationship still holds grudges, still not willing to work on the relationship, and still feels the hurt, but still wants to engage sexually. So the person who's engaging sexually and wants to be in the relationship is always feeling hurt after that experience. So my question to this person is, do your actions align with your values? And the person's looking at me like, what do you mean? Well, does someone have a right to have access to your body sexually if they're not interested in a more long-term relationship? Well, I've been with this person all these years, and like, no, that wasn't the question. The question is are your values aligned with your actions? Are you okay? Is your value system okay? And I have no judgment. I'm okay with people doing whatever, but I really want people to understand that in order to feel congruous, in order to feel happy, in order to feel at peace with yourself, your values and your actions have to come together. And the only way for that to occur is to become aware, very, very, very specifically, of what your values are. And a lot of people don't know what they are. Well, they think, don't steal, don't kill, don't don't be mean. Those are the basic values. But I'm talking about getting specific, get more specific, detailed about your values, and asking yourself specifically, is what I'm doing aligned with my value system? And I find that if you don't do that exercise, you're going to find yourself in relationships with people, giving more than you want to give, and allowing yourself to feel a sense of lowering of your self-esteem, lowering of your empowerment, and feeling shame about the choices that you're making. So, this is just one example. Another example would be deciding to, and I'm sure there are many examples out there of people acting in ways that don't. And why do people? The question you might ask is, well, why would people act differently, or a way or differently from what their values are? Well, in the case study I just mentioned, obviously a desire to bring the person back into the relationship. The person's thinking, if I just engage sexually with this person, then they're going to want to come back into the relationship. But this has been proven over and over and over that no, this is just sex. This is not getting back into the relationship. Once you ascertain that, you need to have the inner discipline to go, okay, well then we're not aligned. We're not on the same page. The other thing would be that people are acting in ways that are not aligned with their values because of comfort, because of fear of what, making a choice that is totally aligned with their values might mean that, you lose comfort or familiarity or a sense of what's around you. You don't want to let go of a relationship. You don't want to let go of of any kind of situation that you're in currently. So this is going to be tough for people because they feel like, well, there's no way to be comfortable when I'm aligned with my value system. And I think you're right. I think that initially what people need to be doing is that you need to understand that living in congruity with your value system will at times be a journey of discomfort. But my goodness, and I myself, I'm aligned with drawing boundaries and saying no and telling people what I think. But my gosh, I'm going to tell you right now, that comes with a tremendous amount of discomfort and fear of rejection and fear of conflict and fear of losing sleep. And who has time to lose sleep anyways? And you know what I mean? These are the kinds of things that I think about myself. It's like, oh, I don't really want to go and draw that boundary or say no or let go of that thing, because that means that I'm going to feel the discomfort of having to go through that. Not having to, but deciding to go through that. And then I might lose sleep in the process. And so these are very, very important decisions that people make when they start to live aligned with their values. A value that a lot of people say, well, I don't enable addicts is a value that people say. But what happens when the addict is your child? What happens when the addict is your partner? It's very difficult to simply live with not enabling that person. I mean, and I recommend it highly, obviously, and people get very upset with me, or not upset, but just uncomfortable with me when I say, okay, so what's your value? Is your value to enable an addict? And the person's like, no, I don't want to enable an addict, but you are, and here's how. And that's a really tough one, because people then start to really experience a tremendous amount of dissonance, and that dissonance is stressful. And then if you don't actually feel the stress of the dissonance, you're in denial of what you're doing in your life. And the question you need to ask yourself is, am I in denial that I'm not living according to my value system? And the value system is sit down and write what is valuable to you and important to you. Because if you don't, you're just going to live a life where so many people are living a life where they're like, I don't know what really matters to me and what's really important to me. So many people are actually saying that. I don't know what's important to me. I don't know, because they come from families of origin where that particular exercise of knowing who you are was not cultivated. It was a family culture of follow my rules. And then that individual doesn't know what's actually important to them. And Lynn Ann says, sometimes when I'm really conflicted, I pause, I don't react, I don't choose, and I give the issue some space, and often the energy shifts and brings clarity. Awesome. I mean, that's exactly right. You want to sit with it, you want to troubleshoot it, you want to troubleshoot the self. Because I'm going to tell you right now, living in alignment with your value system is a hero's choice. It's not an easy choice. It's a hero's choice. I mean, obviously, there are easy values to align yourself with and you're not killing, and you're not deliberately harming someone, and you're not stealing or cheating. But it's tougher when the values are more intricate and more detailed. One person I worked with a number of years ago said, my value is I must only be in relationships with people who honor my time. And anyone else is cut out. It's like, okay, that's a little bit, I find that anyone else is cut out piece very, very extreme. But no, that's what this person wanted to do. I'm only aligning myself with people who respect my time, and anyone else is cut out. I said, okay, let's troubleshoot that and let's find out, because this was a person that was coming to me because their relationships were not harmonious, were not peaceful, and there was a lot of people leaving and people not, there was no harmony, or there was very little harmony. And so when we started to really troubleshoot the value system, what we discovered was that the notion that only people will respect my time, will stay in my life, was almost overly rigid. So if someone was 10 minutes late, they were out. There was an overreaction. So your value system isn't about this overreaction and over-boundary filledness. It's more of an experience of assessing how you want to conduct your relationships, and is there some give and wiggle room. In the case of the person having sex with someone who doesn't want a relationship with them, and that does not align with their values, there's probably no wiggle room in that. But possibly time management, there's a bit of wiggle room. But also the other one that's important is, stealing. So a person would say, my value system is I don't steal and nobody steals from me. But the question is there an ease around people, for example, in this case, years ago, the adult child, 21 years old, saying that, that they need money, or that they need for the person, they need the parent to really step up and sort of save them. Yet that doesn't align with their values, and so there's constant dissonance with this adult child. So the journey of writing down and troubleshooting what your values are is akin to a video I did before, which is don't emotionally dumpster dive. In other words, when you're drawing out what your value system is, understand that you don't have to emotionally dumpster dive in your life. You don't have to just put up with crap. You're allowed to be taking care of your value and being loving of yourself and valuing of yourself. And let me just not have this phone call come in because it ruins our sound. But yet you might want to create a little bit of give, but not too much give. So it's a balancing act. It's a real balancing act. But have some hard rules, and some of them would be, emotionally dumpster diving. What does that look like? And I will give you examples of emotional dumpster diving, in which an emotional dumpster diving is the epitome of not living aligned with your values. So having affairs, stealing, cheating, or gossiping, speaking really, really badly about people. That really lowers people, I believe, that have a value not to speak ill of other people in a deliberate fashion, I think is a fantastic value. And when you go against that, you'll notice your self-esteem descend. Now, if you're in a therapy context, that's a more boundary place, and you can have at it. You can troubleshoot and talk about people and all this stuff, but it's private. It's not, you know for sure, because the therapist is committed to privacy laws, that information is not going to get proliferated and really energetically ruin you and the other person. So, or write it in a journal that's locked somewhere so that you can get that stuff, poison, out of you, but you're not then just descending the energy by ruining other people's reputations or whatever it may be you're speaking of. So again, what's your value? What are your values? And I feel like Linan, who's on a campaign and you're running for a political office, and I'm so proud of you. I've had to consciously stand firm in my values while campaigning. Good stuff. I refuse to campaign negatively and make false promises as I want to authentically win the role. Good work. And that is, to me, like awesome, because a lot of that happens in politics, as you know, and allowing the result to be what it is, what it will be. Positive spell casting with the universe. I love that statement. Positive spell casting with the universe. Gossiping is negative spell casting with the universe. It's putting out a bunch of poison and you momentarily feel good. It's just speaking badly of other people. I say, don't repress it. Put it in a journal. Speak to your therapist. Work it out. Honor your truth. Go through the mountain of discomfort, but come out the other side with what I call transcendent thinking, which is to think about the situation from a bigger picture, going, what can I learn here? What's my lesson in this? What is it that I have to actually learn and teach in this thing? That is transcendence thinking. And when you go on the journey of understanding what your values are and committing to them, life becomes a lot simpler. Life becomes a tremendously simple place, because you then courageously make choices to not just fall into same old, the way it was before, and you decide that there is a value in you, and you don't just engage in just anything. You don't just emotionally dumpster dive. You positively spellcast with the universe. I love that. So the reason I say this is because this is a gateway to raising your self-esteem and to tackling feeling badly about yourself in life. Having a value system and living aligned with your value system is one of the best ways to get out of unhealthy relationships, to stop choices that are unhealthy for you, to get out of jobs that don't work for you, these kinds of things. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. What I am saying, it's courageous. And in the end, you will be like, I feel good about myself. You will, and that's what matters in the end. Because people who feel good about themselves are more apt to be of service to others in a positive, healthy way. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, is ultimately helping the planet in some way. But you got to feel good about you. And T. Harv Eker from Millionaire Mind Intensive, I've read his work and done his workshop, said how you do some things is how you do everything. So how are you going to do the some things? Because what I would submit to you and invite you to be is courageously aligning yourself more often than not, 95% of the time, with action, choice, and decisions that are aligned with a value system that you've taken the time to write down and troubleshoot. Okay? All right. So I want to just ask everyone to share this if you'd like, and join my group Courageous Conversations if you'd like, because that's a place of support where people are making tough decisions and people are supporting them. And like my page, Courageous Conversations. And I'm going to come at you tomorrow with another juicy, courageous conversation. Have yourself a fantastic day. And how's everybody coping with the impending cold weather in Toronto, for those of you here in the city? Have a beautiful day. Keep having courageous conversations with yourself and others. Brilliant.